Hello, training group. This video is a little bit different than most. It's a little bit off the beaten path. So I had an opportunity to go to Ford Performance Driving School or Ford Racing School, whatever the hell they call it. So I got some footage from my experience there, and I wanted to talk about it because I thought the parallels to shooting training were really very interesting. So I'm going to talk about what we did in the driving school and kind of like how that relates to getting better at anything, getting better at shooting. So anyway, school was the school was a day long of driving, and it was broken out into a few like isolation exercises, which I'll talk about as we go on. It was broken into a few isolation exercises of certain aspects of driving the car. And then the afternoon consisted of track lapping sessions where you're doing laps around the track, following an instructor car, and then the instructor car kind of sets the pace for you and is talking to you over the radio to try to kind of work up and go faster and faster and faster, bit by bit by bit. Okay, so that's the general overview. Let's get into what was going on. All right, in the first event I did is something called Skid Car. I didn't get any footage of it, because it's a different car than the raced out car that I was driving the rest of the day. I didn't have cameras in the car to record it, but I can tell you about it. So Skid Car is it's like a normal street car. I think it was a Ford Fusion or something, kind of a lame car. But it has these outriggers on the side of it, and they can raise and lower certain parts of the car. So they raise and lower the front and back of the car in order to introduce oversteer and understeer as the instructors desire. So Skid Car, all you do is drive around this parking lot going about 20 miles an hour, going around these slow corners, and then the instructors could introduce dramatic over or understeer, meaning like you're turning the wheel and the car is not steering, it's understeering, or you turn the wheel and the car darts into the corner way too much, the back end kicks out, it's oversteering in that case. And you learn to manage the steering and throttle inputs so you can straighten the car out. Skid Car was probably the easiest event for me, because I live in Wisconsin, so I'm used to driving low speed with a lot of understeer or oversteer because I drive in the snow a lot. Okay, so that was the first event I did. Sorry, no footage of that one. But then moving on, we did something called the handling course, which was basically an autocross course, if you're familiar with that, like a parking lot with some cones that you're driving around, like a cone slalom and a couple corners. This was done, like I'm showing you footage now. This was done in my in the Mach 1 racing car that I was using. So we got good footage of it. And this was again another isolation exercise. So for this exercise, the aspect of car control we were working on was just cornering. So looking ahead through the corner, on the throttle, coming out of a corner, controlling the gas input as you go through the slalom, and then and so on. This whole handling course was done just in second gear. So what I mean is by isolation exercises, we're just isolating one aspect of the car control as much as possible. Meaning there's not going to be shifting. We're going to take that off the table and just work on kind of maneuvering the car through the cones, doing the steering, and then hammering on the gas as you get out of a corner. Hammer on the brake before you come into a corner, that sort of thing. So again, it was isolating the certain parts of the car. Now, one thing that I thought was very interesting about the handling course, very interesting in fact, was that they used the opportunity to show you the different modes of the car. So the car can be normal mode, sport plus mode, or whatever it is, and then track mode. And the suspension, the steering input, the throttle inputs, all that's adjustable with a computer. Actually, the exhaust adjusts too. So as you move up in modes, the car gets firmer, it gets stiffer, it gets louder, the steering becomes more responsive, and the throttle becomes more responsive. So on the handling course, you'll see here in the footage where if you see spots where I slow down, maybe you hear some clicking. That's just me listening to the instructor's commands. Hey, switch up in modes because we're going to show you how the car handles in this other mode. So anyway, this was good. This was a good kind of a refresher for how to drive fast around corners, and then it demonstrated the modes of the car. The next isolation exercise in the morning was an acceleration and braking exercise where you're basically just going round and round this really small oval track, and you'd stop on each end, get some feedback from the instructor. So acceleration and braking was just accelerating hard, working your way up through the gears, and then braking. Braking properly, it's called threshold braking, which is braking right up to the point before the ABS system is engaged. If the ABS system is engaged, it kind of disrupts the car, and it doesn't slow you down as fast. So you want to brake right up to before the point of ABS. I'll show you here. I had a perfect acceleration and braking run. Everything went great. I'll show you that run now. So as you can see there, I was pretty excited. Nailed the acceleration and braking. I should also say they use this opportunity during the acceleration and braking exercise to show you some trick features in the gearbox of the car. So these cars have launch control, no lift shift, and rev matching, meaning if your car's at a stop, you just put it in gear, put the clutch in, and pin the throttle, and then it manages the throttle input for you and holds a certain rev level. You dump the clutch, and then the traction control takes over and it launches the car. No lift shift. If you're flat out on the throttle, if you're flat, like 100% input on the throttle, you just clutch the car and shift it to the next gear, and the computer manages the throttle for you, and it gets right back on the power. And then when you're braking, the car rev matches on the downshift, so you don't have to press the throttle with the heel of your shoe while you're pressing the gas pressing the brake with your toe. So no heel towing. You can just rev match on the downshift. The trick features in the car's gearbox make the car very, very easy to drive, fast on track, and very smooth. So it was good to show us this because I haven't driven a car with these features in the gearbox before, and what you end up doing on track is essentially just sidestepping the clutch every time you shift and slamming it into the next gear. Whether it's upshifting or downshifting, it doesn't really matter. If you're accelerating, you just stay on the throttle, sidestep the clutch and shift. If you're braking, stay on the brake, sidestep the clutch and downshift. So this was a good demonstration of the car's features and making sure that you're braking at the right points and braking properly, threshold braking, not engaging the ABS. Okay, so all of those events in the morning session were just little pieces of what you were going to be doing on track. Slowing down into a corner, accelerating out of a corner, handling the car through a corner, and then managing oversteer and understeer as you're on the traction limits of the car, going around corners quickly. At least that was the idea, and this all made sense. Now, the interesting thing here from a shooting perspective is think about how similar this is to the exercises we do in shooting. So, hey, we're going to isolate recoil control. Let's just do doubles. We're going to isolate target transitions. We're going to just do target transitions, dry fire, and not be pulling the trigger or worried about that thing, just aiming. You know what I mean? You're taking an element of what it is you have to do and just working on that element. And again, for driving training, this was the same thing, working on each element. Now in the afternoon, it was lead follow on the track. So I'm showing you here a walkthrough of the trackers. So this is how slow it started, driving around the track, 20 miles an hour with the instructors talking through all the different braking points. It's a pretty big track. It's pretty complicated. A lot of elevation changes, a couple blind corners, that kind of stuff. The track is very interesting, so to get to know the track, we go around it very slow. And then we start doing lead follow, again, very slow. They grouped us by ability level, so there's one other guy in my class that was wanting to actually drive fast. Most people didn't really want to, so they grouped us together, and we were doing lead follow. So as you're seeing here, it's our formation of 3 cars, an instructor car and then 2 student cars, kind of going around the track, and as we move along, speed up, speed up, speed up. Now, what I really liked about the lead follow stuff was, even when I made mistakes, there was at one point in one of the track sessions, I have too much video. I'm not going to dig up just this one thing, but at one point I got the car sideways because I got oversteer going through a corner. I gave it too much throttle going through the corner. The back end cut loose. The kick's out, and I could correct it and whatever. And it's a mistake where, yeah, somebody could potentially have, spun the car out or whatever, gone off the track. But I didn't get yelled at or punished or anything. The instructor's like, okay, yeah, you know what you did. Like, try not to do that again. And it's like, okay. So, again, think about how we do so much shooting training. It's like speed up, speed up, speed up, speed up. All right? We're not stigmatizing mistakes. Like, be safe. But, get on the edge of what your abilities are and just manage what's going on and try to learn as much as you can. And that's exactly how the lead follow sessions on the track worked. So I thought that was very interesting, and I thought that was great. So there it is, folks. That's driving school in a nutshell. And as you're seeing, the parallels to proper shooting training, they're everywhere. We're going to work on little skills, like the component skills, work on those individually, and then try to put it together at speed. And then you get right up to the edge of your ability level when you're trying to put it together. You get up to the edge of your ability, and you don't stigmatize mistakes. You understand mistakes, and you try to learn from mistakes. So anyway, that's it for the video. I'll leave you, I think, with a little bit of driving. At the end, I had the instructor in the car, and we're ripping around the track. I'll leave you with that. Questions, comments, put them below. I hope you found the video interesting and all that.
Rolling down in. Let it roll in. Pick the power back up. 5, let it roll in. Now this whole section through here, this car turns so much better. The combination of just the tires and the mechanical grip, this thing will eat the school car up. Oh yeah. Combination of brakes and tires. Yeah. To the school car. Like I was doing everything I could to get this thing stopped. Now shift, let it roll in. so well. The turning ability of these cars is phenomenal, you know. Obviously, we get to drive everything, right? We've got the 500s.
Yeah. Do you actually like